Yeah, you have to have the. That's so dumb. You actually have to have the back end.
Oh wow.
It's so retarded. Oh yeah, I was supposed to say the R word, the R slur on fucking you, but that's what it is. It's retarded.
It's okay. Don't worry. I'm only recording.
Yeah, I'm only streaming it out live for everyone to see. You know, just the basics.
I mean, get in your slurs now before the algorithm catches
I mean,
up, right?
yeah, well, we're in a small channel, so any slurs we say now are going under the radar. We hit like monetization, then YouTube's gonna start paying attention.
Okay, yeah, I see we're live. Okay. Well, this has been a great start to the HateCast.
As always, tech issues, you know, it's great.
Well, it wouldn't be a grade A level podcast without tech issues, am I right?
Like our sound guy is sleeping with our graphics girl, and so it causes problems.
Oh, hang on. We have graphics girl? Why
Yeah.
wasn't I told about this?
Because she's never around, she's always taking large amounts of time off.
Makes sense.
Probably banging the sound guy. Probably separate those two.
Anyway, I suppose we should probably get our article underway. You know, move away from this train wreck a little bit. I mean, it's fun to watch go downhill and all, but
Hey, look, it can't be any worse than what happened for Biden today, right? Because
this, that's a fair point. And since you mentioned Biden here, our first article happens to be the most pressing news of the day, which is Biden and his vaccine mandates. So I've got an article up here. The gist of it basically comes down to Biden is mandating any business with 100 or more employees to either, let's see, where is it? That they have to have all of their employees fully vaccinated or require the unvaccinated workers to get a negative test at least once a week. And OSHA will be, let's see, basically OSHA is going to be fining people $14,000 per violation. And I don't see it being clear here if that's going to be to the business or the individual worker. But in theory, if a business didn't want to comply with this and said, yeah, I'm not requiring that. And let's say all 100 employees didn't get it, then that would be 14,000 times 100. I don't see any limits as to how often that can be, fined to them. That might be something they can do every single day.
I mean, it's not overreach at all, right? Like, it's not.
I mean, no.
Oh my god.
Clearly, that couldn't be authoritarian, right?
Yeah, it's literally not a president forcing a medical device. A vaccine. Sorry. Like, oh, jeez. It's so stupid.
Yeah. And even down here in the article, it says Joe Biden told Americans when he was elected that he would not impose vaccine mandates. So he's already gone back on that. And he hasn't even been in a year yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great reminder. We're not even a year in, folks. Not even a fucking year.
So it's pretty bad. I'm actually waiting for a state to be like, we are a unvaccinated sanctuary. And just be like, we will not be upholding that or imposing fines.
Yeah, how long do we until we get a vaccine sanctuary city, right? I mean, it might happen in Florida.
Yeah, Florida or Texas could do it. But imagine if like both Florida and Texas said no. I mean, I guess all they could do is keep fining people, but at some point, people are just going to be like, lol, I'm just going to take my money out of the banks. Or I guess a state might be able to order their banks, like local banks, not necessarily national or global ones, to be like, yeah, do not freeze these accounts. And the interesting thing is like, oh, go for it.
There's gonna be some interesting shit that comes about from this, because there's gonna be, like, ultimately the federal government has the utmost say because of the Patriot Act, right? Because if the government basically says to a bank or a payment processor, you're harboring who we would suspect as a terrorist, you know, you can't do any business with them ever. I can't remember the exact limits they place on banks through the Patriot Act, but it's pretty overreaching from what I remember. And
Yeah.
so any bank, even if it can be upheld in court or not, any bank is just going to go, oh lol, I'm not dealing with that, you need to get vaccinated.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is though, is that they don't really have the manpower to just enforce it on people. All they have really is the IRS.
Just a moment, the letters on your preview have Pokemon script. I can see the very
That's weird. There's not much to read down there, but is it less blurred when I go back to the top?
No, your entire article just looks like artistic lines now.
Look, these lines are as artistic as the federal government's claim that they have the authority to do this.
It is.
It's a metaphor, Dros.
I'm not gonna claim the. Like, it feels like this is so far overreaching for a government that it literally goes into tears. Like, it literally goes to the point where it's like, and it's so inconsistent tyranny too. Like, we had a ruling where it's like abortion should be legal, but because Texas decided to kind of not have it be, right? Even though it's still up in debate now because they want to send people in to legislate against it, right?
Yeah.
Like although the Supreme Court upheld it, like, the federal government's already saying they're looking into ways to circumvent it. They're talking about sending like federal doctors, to calling it a federal state of emergency or some shit over Texas, and sending federal doctors there to give free abortions. And
jeez.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of shit flying around the room as what they might be doing.
So this is also kind of important. It says the president also announced vaccination requirements for healthcare providers that accept Medicare and Medicaid for all federal employees and contractors, and for the staff of head of state programs, Department of Defense schools, and Bureau of Indian Education operated schools. The interesting thing here is there's already a lot of people this covers who are basically giving them the finger, and the government's going, well, it doesn't apply to you. Like, there's a couple of police departments that they're going, yeah, not you. We don't want all of you to walk off the job because of this. The one thing that would be interesting is if Medicare and Medicaid, so anyone who accepts those, what if hospitals just said, you know what, we don't accept those anymore? Because they could. There's nothing legally stopping them.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways it would suck, but...
See, what they're trying to do there is that, like, I guess it covers it anyways if you're not getting paid. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the umbrella trick where it's like, well, you accept Medicare or Medicaid, so now you have to like require vaccination for everybody.
Yeah, and of course most hospitals and stuff accept those.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see some hospitals just go, you know what? We'll lose too much staff over this. We're just not going to accept those anymore.
It's just gonna be. It's amazing how like the rates of rates of regular diseases that actually affect people are just gonna go up and up and up and up because of I forgot.
Yeah, I also zoomed in for you.
But it's gonna be great whenever the actual rates of regular diseases go up because people don't go to the hospital because of this.
Yeah, pretty much. Or like I said, if hospitals stop accepting that, it's a lot of people that aren't going to be covered. Like, I don't like the government meddling with healthcare plans and stuff to begin with, but I also don't really want to see people just blanketly denied all of a sudden any help whatsoever, because those programs can be important, especially for some kids. Like, I grew up with Medicare from California.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, if we weren't covered by that, though, my dad and my grandma couldn't have afforded a lot of stuff for me. Like, I
Yeah.
would probably not have glasses to this day, and I probably wouldn't be able to read the shit that's on this computer screen
Yeah.
or do my job. So I recognize it can do good. I just think those programs are vastly overreaching.
But at the same time, you like whenever you were getting cared for by California's healthcare system, it wasn't exactly like it is now, right? That was a significant amount of time ago, right?
Well, I mean, realistically, you're looking at, let's see, because it stopped being effective when I was 18. So, quick math, that's 14 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, like if
So,
you,
yeah, it wasn't as bad as it is now.
yeah,
It
because
was still not great.
yeah, it wasn't great, but at least it like I mean, the biggest problem 14 years ago, at least in my mind, was like, well, we can't pay for it, right? We're gonna provide the services, we can't really pay for it, right? And the state will just have to find out where to put the budget, right? But now,
and a lot of people like my mother taking advantage of it.
yeah, but now it's like, well, whatever. Who's no one even cares who's paying for it. Just heap that shit on. Like it's so now anything is covered under it, pretty much. Fuck. I'm pretty sure transgender surgery is covered under fucking California healthcare now.
Yeah, like there were certain things like I had some dental problems, and they're like, yeah, we could fix it, but Medicare doesn't consider that all that important. So, unless you have like $3,000, there's nothing we can do. But no, it's I'm waiting for at least a couple hospitals to do that, because if you're looking at losing a bunch of your doctors and nurses because they're just sick of it, you might actually, as a business, because a lot of hospitals are not state run, is going to have to say, look, we can't afford to operate and accept this.
Yeah, I see. And then that's not even to go over like, because right there at the bottom, at least the window right now, like Republicans are gonna, like sue them. There's gonna be there's gonna be a big thing to do about how this is a violation of medical freedom.
With an executive order, it's not. It didn't go through the legislative body, which it's supposed to. Biden can't pass laws, but yet
That's what he's
decided to decree a law.
Yeah, that's what he's been using executive orders for. That's what Obama used executive orders, was to make laws.
And then the Supreme Court shot him down when he made, I forget what his other mandate was he made. It wasn't related to vaccines, but he made one and it got shot down, and then he just reissued it. it's like there's a point where you become pretty tyrannical and brazen.
Man, this political theater we have, like, I don't even know. I thought 2020 was like a nightmare. But holy fuck, man. 2024 is just gonna be one of those, like...
No,
What?
2020 started off the preseason games, Droz.
Yeah, like... Man, I always said, it's like, guys, what you don't understand is when Trump gets out of office, shit is gonna hit the fan. It's like, you've got 4 years at best of like, okay, we're gonna be doing relatively okay, right? You got 4 years. Little did I know they were gonna, do what they did. They had on YouTube, because now definitely gets flagged. But, they installed the Grandmaster Puppeteer, right? Who can't get up a flight of stairs. And now he's sitting here, like, writing laws into effect using executive order. Like, pulling little girls out of crowds and sniffing them. Can't, like, coherently put a sentence together. Pulling out of a nation and causing the lives of several Americans, double-digit Americans, and probably more that you just haven't really cataloged because they left them over there. Like, holy fuck. Like, they're gonna hit him so hard with all these things in 2024, and that's not, because this is just, again, this is not even the first year. It's like, within your first year of presidency, you've done more harm to the American system than any of America's enemies ever could. Like,
yeah, he really has.
Like, holy fuck.
Well, it really brings creed to the idea, no one could ever truly invade the US, so the only way we were going to fall is if we tore ourselves apart.
Or the only way we're gonna fall is to elect one incompetent fucking idiot to go in and just start signing in laws that he has no idea of the implications of. This is why the American system wasn't meant to have a king. Because, like, whenever someone does something stupid like this, there's supposed to be checks and balances. Also, it's still artistic.
Still blurry for you? That's weird. Because even in my previews, it's not really blurry. So, it's probably because I don't have Nitro, so it only lets me do 720p, 30 FPS, and I think it limits the bit rate. So
there we go. There we go.
Okay, so after it sits there for a minute, it gets better.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
we'll have to wait. Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all this is. It's just a blatant power grab, and it's immeasurably frustrating because the presidency was not supposed to have this much power to the federal government.
Yeah, I mean, your job as president, sign laws that were actually passed by elected officials, not laws that were made up by you in a state of, like, dementia-ridden fucking delusions where you have Kamala in your ear like, do it, Joe, do it.
Yeah.
Sign the document.
Yeah, I still remember that video where he's going through the paper. He's like, oh, I don't know what I'm signing. And you hear just off the side, just sign it. It's like,
just sign it, Joe.
An immediate red flag with any president. If that happened with any other president, if that happened with Trump, the media would be playing it over and over and over and saying this person's incompetent. Yet with Biden, it's great that he's taking advice like that.
Yeah, it's good he's leading from behind like his predecessor.
Leading from behind.
Yeah.
Taking it from behind.
It's the same thing, Whiskey. It's just more artistically poised, right?
But yeah, that's all. That's all I really had with this article. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's one of those like I want to believe in my heart of hearts that this is going to cause some grand rebellion. But like the article already said, 75% have already gotten one shot. You've basically already given them the keys to the castle, so now you basically have to sit back as they lock you in the dungeon.
I don't like the dungeon.
Well, then we should have defended the gates a little better then. Because when we let the Trojan horse through, it was our undoing.
Damn Trojan horse.
Because there's no stopping it now. Because it's like, oh, well, you got one shot, why not get three? And people are going to be like, well, you told me the first shot was going to work. You were wrong. Science evolves. Don't you believe the science? Oh my god, I can't bring it up because we're on stream, but it just reminds me of Sunny, right? Where it's like, Mac from Sunny in Philadelphia is like, science lies sometimes. This is exactly right here. Like,
I remember that with the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was BS, but he did make a couple of points, which is science lies sometimes.
You can literally take his entire presentation, take everybody away, put like Fauci, Biden, and just replace any governor with the last one. It's like,
you know what you need to do is you need to take Fauci's head, Biden's head, and like Kamala's head, and put it over his like it's a three-headed beast, describing its plan, and it would work.
No, but like the actual plan, if you watch how he does his plan, it actually would undo all the corona stuff, because although when he's saying it in the show it's satirical, right? It's not technically untrue, it's just a really dumb way of looking at science. But in this case, it's literally 100% true, because it did operate in that way. Like you had Fauci lie, then you had Biden lie, then you had like your governors lie, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And then you loop it on back. It's the only difference is that you circle it back all the way back to Fauci, and Fauci will be like, actually, everyone's lying. I'm the one telling you the truth. And then the cycle starts all over again, because everyone's just saying what they hear from Fauci.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just incredibly frustrating, especially how, we have a lot of useful idiots in the country.
Yeah, we basically play science like a game of telephone, right? Like, I don't know if you ever had to play that in school, where it's like you get a circle of kids together.
I've never had to play it, no, but I do know the concept.
Yeah, so by the time you get to the last kid, the original phrase was like, a purple goose jumped over the fence, and then they're talking about like aliens invading DC. And you're like,
no,
what?
No, it's not aliens, insurrectionists. They're invading DC. See, you just did it too.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the point though. Like, I tried to think of something more outrageous than something that actually happened. Maybe it'll happen.
It's pretty hard to do it.
I can imagine.
Just about as soon as someone comes out with another meme or satire, it just immediately happens. That's where we live.
I love to think that if aliens came to see us, right, and they're like, they crash into a farm like Dragon Ball Z, right, and it's like, take me to your leader, and you just lead them to DC. It's like that one, all of them. And it's just like, oh,
yeah, it's like all of them, please.
Yeah, all of them, just please, dude. If you want to take it over.
And the aliens, wait. You want us to subjugate you? It's just like, well, you can't do worse than these guys.
Yeah, like, let me sit.
At least you'll be honest about it.
Yeah, let me sit you down for a minute and spin you a tale. What if women were allowed to go in the men's bathroom and men in the women's bathroom? It's like, wait a minute. What's happened on this planet? We just getting started, dude. We haven't even gotten to communism yet, or China, right? With the organs stealing and shit. Like, I'm telling you, dude, it's not my fault. Look, I don't condone this shit. I'm trying to stay away from it. It's them over there.
Imagine aliens existing and they are able to pick up and decipher our radio signals. But the one thing they end up viewing and assuming is all true is Alex Jones.
Oh my god, they would just bomb the planet. Yeah. Like, they would either think Alex Jones was a supreme overlord or like the only guy fighting against a tide of super degeneracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they would just either come in with an army to kill him or an army to like fortify his position. It would be pretty funny.
Either way, it would be interesting.
It'd be pretty funny to see like a 40K type thing go by, and like a Space Marine chapter discovers our planet, and they see Alex Jones and think he's the governor, and they've overthrown him.
That would be hilarious.
But yeah, like, yeah, of course Alex Jones is our planetary governor. Yeah, they overthrew him like years ago. They took him off the internet, which we use to communicate. You know, I know it's really unique in the 41st era, but yeah, it's totally a thing here.
You know, it'd be interesting. They'd probably think when he's ranting about people and clockwork elves that he's talking about psychers like reaching.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, have you seen the clockwork elves? We've been after them forever. Like, some Space Marine chapter's like, oh shit, did I hear clockwork elves? Chaos invasion. Let's go.
And when he's talking about like all these elites are like, oh, we've got to get them for heresy.
Yeah. It's like, so wait. You're telling me you've seen clockwork elves, which I can only assume is some type of new Slaneshi hybrid, Slaneshi Corrin hybrid, and some people who are like obviously cultists who are engaging in Slanesh worship with also Cornish back themes. Huh? What the fuck have you done to this planet? Like, what's been going on?
And how have you not died yet?
Yeah, you must be a valiant warrior to stand so long against this tide of what is clearly heresy.
Man. So, what article do you got?
Okay. We have one. Let me arrange these because we'll do the triple.
So you're the one that keeps rigging that shit up every time I need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, making my ass trip.
Okay, because they changed the name of the article. Okay, so we actually had. Oh, where's my Twitter page? Oh,
I guess.
So I had a link to his where he was talking of. Here we go. He was talking. He made a statement where it's like, I as a developer, right, have been. I as a developer, well, yeah, as a CEO and developer of, Tripwire, am happy that the statement that the law in Texas banning abortion went forward, right? And he did the penultimate crime in today's society of expressing an opinion that's not 100% vetted by the crowd and not left. So immediately people like Cliff Bleszinski, if I'm saying his dumbass name right, I really don't care, and a bunch of other people who are in the blue check mark range and not, all flogged him for for having the wrong opinion, bro. And like I told you, it's really easy to start snowballs in Twitter because all the blue check marks see what they say, right? They say whenever any one of them says anything, right? So they know where to dogpile, and then they bring their own individual support bases, right? And then you get the actual traffic coming in from random people. They kind of get this super snowball effect onto this guy, and he goes, well, I'm gonna step down because several companies started being like, oh, we're discontinuing support with you. And like one of the games they published, one of the game studios were like, yeah, we don't like them even though they publish our game, bro. So he stepped down, you know, as most people do in this day and age, rather than standing up for your conviction, right?
Well, who wants to stand up for
conviction? Because it's gone now. Like, I actually had to work. I lost this article and I had to go look for it because it's not a big thing now. No one fucking cares. Like, a couple days later and it's already gone. It shows you how much memory people have for whatever culture you want to call it now. Consequence, you know, whatever culture. I don't fucking care. It's cancer. Hey, but
well, I mean, in fairness, I do think what's going on with Biden's declaration probably more important than this. So I could see people focusing on that instead.
Yeah. If only would have held out for a couple more days, right?
This is still, you know, it's part of the same cancerous tumor, and it's part of what started to infect gaming a long time ago. Luckily, though, we don't have to worry about CEOs getting fired so much from much smaller companies, just the monoliths of our industry.
Oh yeah,
most of them have become creatively bankrupt, so
they gave their typical, you know, Huck type statement. His opinions were his own, because God forbid, and because there's so many left-leaning fucking corporations, apparently, because it's based on the people that just spout their bullshit full tilt, right? And that's obviously everyone in those corporations agree with that 100%. No airing of opinion. But if someone says something on the right and that were to reflect a corporation, God forbid. But yeah, that doesn't reflect us. That reflects him.
That being said, I wouldn't surprise if him stepping down also came with a very nice package of benefits.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't matter though. It's still the point. Like,
oh yeah, no, but I could see someone looking at it and going, no matter what I say, I'm still probably going to get kicked out no matter what. I might as well take this bag of money with me.
I was like proud of
I almost can't blame him for doing it willingly.
Proud of the
go for it.
Proud of the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed Texas law banning to entertain, you know, get political office. Yet with so many vocal peers on the other side of this issue, I felt it was important to go on the record as a pro-life. It's like, yeah, all he was doing was offering a call out to people that believe that are pro-life, right, in the industry, because there are people, it's not unlike the lefties seem to think. It's like, first of all, left is not the default political opinion. I'm tired of seeing left people assuming this is the right. It's like, no, left-leaning opinion is not.
And honestly, if you look at a lot of the best programmers, they're not that far left. They operate on logic and consistency.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that most left-leaning thought has to be taught to you, whereas a lot of right-leaning thought is developed naturally throughout your life.
Well, yeah.
So, first of all, it's not natural to think left in a lot of cases. There are a lot of cases where thinking left is generally better than thinking right, but they're few and far in between. Like, it's more like when you have to come to like really complicated social issues, but it's definitely not the default opinion ever.
Well, it's kind of like I said on our last article, where I don't outright hate Medicare and Medicaid. It's just they've gone way too far with the programs. So not not only are they not providing great help to the people they're trying to help, but it's rampant with abuse of the system. So it, anyway. Hey, let's see what programs Dross has installed.
But I can't answer that without actually. Okay, whatever. I'll leave it there. It's fine. You have another article, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then I'll just go through this. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll go through this and then I'll give you the fix. But yeah, I feel like this is gonna cause the end of the game quicker than people would like. This is another reason why I don't really look forward to like more games now, because not only has the game industry fucked up like all of their IPs just naturally, right? But like they're taking on more and more leftist blood. If you watched E3 this year, it was literally panels. Like Take-Two took a whole 2 year panel, or 2 hour, sorry,
Oh,
2 hour panel. Oh, Take-Two took a whole 2 hour panel to go over like race awareness in the business, in not only like gaming spaces, right, and communities, but in like gaming corporations as a whole. So my prediction for like GTA is probably going to be like pretty, like GTA 6 is probably going to have a lot of foreign politics into it from people who
probably
you see run movies and stuff, because they know movies are dying, right? Everyone sees it. They know Hollywood's dying. So what what would be the next jumping off point for them? Oh, video games. So now they're just going to go and read.
well, because you have to ruin it, conform to your world beliefs. Because if your view of the world is challenged, especially if it's challenged validly, then that doesn't feel too good. So they have to protect themselves. So, you know what you were saying about organizing the Twitter mob?
Yeah.
And the blue checks. Well, currently, as this article states, they now have new methods to block. But it's not your normal blocking. See, this is soft blocking.
Did me get right?
I am.
I hate Discord sharing right now. The back.
You're fine. You just can't tech sometimes.
I can tech. It's
Well, you're pulling it up. I'll just continue.
yeah, you're fine. I got it.
Okay, so basically, there's new soft blocking is because you know how blocking works currently, right? Where basically it stops the other person from reading your stuff and stops both of you from messaging back and forth. Well, their new soft block, the way it's going to work is kind of like, as this article says, a remote unfollow. Basically, you won't see their stuff show up in line, but you can still send direct messages and you can still go read their stuff. It just won't show up as for you on your timeline as though they haven't posted anything.
So basically, they're just admitting to something they already knew now.
Basically, it's just they're making it an official tool anyone can
Yeah,
use.
they're pulling the mask off instead of it being like, well, guys, you know, instead of your friend being like, dude, I got soft blocked, it's Twitter being like, yeah, I soft blocked that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for being honest.
What I'm wondering about this ability is, suppose you use it. What if they do unfollow you and then follow you again? Will that like erase it because they were no longer following you, so it wouldn't be in effect? So would you then be able to go and unfollow someone and then refollow them to make it start working again like normal? That's I'm kind of interested to see if that's just an easy workaround, because that's just what I came up off the top of my head. Of course, I don't really use, well, I don't use Twitter because I think I told you, but when I made my account the first time, they immediately just said, "Oh, we've detected suspicious activity on this account. We want a photocopy of your driver's license." It's like, you know what? You don't need my driver's license. So I never finished account sign up.
Oh, that's kind of dumb, yeah. I mean, I have a Twitter. I just never use it because I'm always bad at social media. Like, even like my own Twitch, I'm just terrible at it, right? Because it's just like I'm terrible at maintaining a schedule. Like, I look at Twitter and I go, what am I supposed to post, right? Because I mean, I guess things that happen to me, but I mean, it's not like I have a camera. I feel like you have to be a really narcissistic person to a lot. I mean, I don't catch.
That or you have to enjoy being part of the dog pile. One of the two.
Or you have to be an artist. I can see if you're like an artist and you make things constantly. I mean, like even when I was a Twitch streamer, it's like I guess I should have like made clips and stuff. I just didn't want to go through like 8 hour VODs to fucking find like the 15-minute clip.
There are people that go on there and intentionally shitpost with things that both that can either apply to the left or the right, depending on how you take it, just to piss everyone off.
Look, we don't.
Everyone always views it in the worst light.
Whiskey, I don't appreciate you spreading awareness about the Taliban. Okay, we know they run a good meme game, but you know you can't give them more traction.
I would like to take a moment to mention that the HateCast and all of its subsidiaries do not support or condone the Taliban or anything they stand for.
No, we love and support the nation of Israel. It's our crowning jewel in the Middle East and needs to thrive in order for the United States to have proper sovereignty back, you know?
And so that's Twitter. Twitter sucks, let's be honest. But you know something that may or may not suck? The Matrix reboot. Or
yeah, I've been waiting for this. Oh, fuck. Not the best segue, but it's great. Yeah, I'm just like, why? Fucking why would you do this? It's just one of those movies. Who, first of all, everyone I've ever known who's like The Matrix, right, have always told me that The Matrix would have been better as one movie. That they were already overreaching when they made the next two, right? So when you made the trilogy, it took away from the first one.
Yeah, you probably could have condensed all of it, like all of the second, third movie into one movie, and it probably would have made it better.
Yeah, that's a lot of people have said that. And so already you're stepping on not even thin ice. You're stepping on ice that is fractured and sailed out on the icy sea. So
can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
Someone's going to have to explain to me why this is.
So I haven't really looked into the trailers or anything, and to be honest, I'm not that interested. The only thing I could see being a good move is possibly a story that takes place before the current trilogy. Because at that point, because it's been cyclic up until that point, with people who have been the one freeing people, and then the machines attacking the city.
Yeah.
So I could see making a version that, of course, in the way, because they say it's a perpetual, version of the 20th century, where you show how like one of the first anomalies came about and actually created the first human city. Like something like that could be actually pretty cool.
Oh, well, they already explained it though.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like the first human city thing, it's a way it was created by the machines. So basically, the whole, from what I understand, the whole plot of 1 through 3 is like, well, it's more one than through 1 through 3, I guess, is that like, Neo is essentially like Jesus Christ to a digital system, right? He's like all of the people who don't want to be assimilated into the system. He's like all their code. And so when he dies and gets assimilated into the system, all of that, all the errors that are generated from that get assimilated into the system, and it causes the system to break down and destroy itself. But
well, from at least what I remember of the third movie, he basically just made a deal with the I don't even, the hive mind, is that what it would be? I'm not really sure.
yeah, it was like the end
But
computer.
even if they've explained how it's happened, my thought is more make a movie about how it actually occurred.
I have to go and actually watch The Matrix because I'm actually more just like seeing the majority of the movie in bits and pieces, and so I know the plot.
It's been a long time since I watched it, to be honest.
But like, the first human city basically was created by the machines so that they could like create a scenario in which Neo was needed, and so that the Messiah thing was actually a thing that permeated throughout the humans that would reject the system.
See, from what I remember, is basically there was always people that would come about and realize that they were effectively in a simulation and would break out or cause problems. So they devised the whole thing with a separate city in order to basically act as a release valve on it.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to see the lead up to that being created. Because the first time around, before the machines made that decision, you can imagine there was a reason they decided to do that. There was a catalyst.
Oh, well, from what they said in the show, it was just like it was always part of the plan. That they knew from the very start that the simulation couldn't be held together perfectly. That you're going to need a release valve to basically account for the fact that there's a human element that will always rebel against authority, and that in order to become part of the authority, like in order for human beings to essentially to become part, like integrated into the system, they have to believe that they're part of something bigger than themselves, and that it itself is becoming part of the system.
Well, what I'm more talking about how I think Agent Smith had mentioned it, that the entire system was iterative, and they learned something every time someone like Neo came about, and so they tweaked the system.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that the first time they started this version of the 20th century, when they realized utopia wouldn't work, that they didn't necessarily realize they would need a release valve from that.
Oh, well,
that might have been the next iteration.
Well, from, again, this is my understanding of the Matrix, is that they weren't trying to, unless you're talking about the humans trying to create utopia.
No, I'm specifically talking about the machines, because
Okay.
at no point does it indicate the machines foresaw that outcome. It just sort of happened, and they went, "Oh, there's an anomaly. How do we deal with this?"
Well,
So it would be kind of like the Matrix, the first anomaly, basically.
from what I've read of the synopsis of it, is that human beings, that simulation is a prison because they're using human beings for power.
Yeah, it is.
So if when they first built it, they knew that that this error was going to occur. So they built the system with a failsafe, the pressure valve, and the basically the Messiah. They basically took a thing from human being the collective unconsciousness, which is the Messiah trait, right? Everybody throughout every culture has a Messiah trait. Like every culture has some Messiah figure that is supposed to bring them together and then have them defeat the great evil. And so they use that as a failsafe to always create the one. So literally the Matrix 1 is Neo going through the system exactly how it was intended. That's why the Matrix 2 and 3 occur, because it's them trying to break out of the loop of them having to sacrifice Neo every time. And that's why Neo has been through here multiple times too. It's not necessarily Neo, it's just like Neo is the title of the person. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
see, I don't remember them mentioning that the very first iteration of it had that in mind.
Yeah, from what I understand, is that they built the entire system.
It's implied. I just don't think it was explicitly stated.
It's probably something better, like written in the synopsis, because it was probably tailored more fan.
So, assuming it's not in the movies that would contradict it, that's what I would do, because it gives you a lot of room to play with. As to where doing a sequel, everything's kind of set on a specific path already, so it's a little difficult to write around that, unless you're just going to ignore it like Hollywood often does and do something a little bit ridiculous. But I don't have the highest faith in Hollywood doing anything right at this point. But what is interesting, let me switch over to it real quick. And I think this is kind of neat. So on their actual Matrix website, for the preview, depending on which pill you click, you get a different preview and different voiceover and stuff. So like if we do the red pill, you see the initial graphics going up, and is basically talking about how you've made the choice to break out of the system. While if you do the blue pill, you get the exact opposite, and it's like some people are blind. So I just thought this specific thing was really cool. And at some point here, it's going to pop up the time on my computer. There we go. It actually like takes the time from your computer and speaks it, which is pretty neat just to add into the website there.
Yeah, I just noticed that the main character is a woman. That's what it looked like. It looked like a butch dyke lesbian woman.
Yeah, it's
your typical
not a good sign.
Your typical like 90 pounds soaking wet, super action heroine with short hair that makes her look like an 8-year-old boy who just got into his first jar of hair gel. Yeah.
And the article doesn't have much information other than what I mentioned of there's a trailer and you can click either the red pill or the blue pill.
Oh my, watch them make the blue pill the real, because it's gonna be like, oh, we need the reverse code. I guarantee it's one of the reasons why they're doing it. We need to reverse code alt-right speech. It's like, what?
Even if they pull something like that, I still think the gimmick of being able to choose your trailer is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. Literally, it's one of those things. No matter how many positives this has, I will never see it, but anything is negative.
Well, yeah, my assumption is it's a naked cash grab, and they're probably going to try to appease people politically with it. And if it were anyone else but Hollywood, basically, I would give it a shot. I just think they're going to screw it up so horribly that I'm probably not going to bother watching it. I'll wait until reviews come out.
I expect this to be tackled with all the grace of a communist director remaking Animal Farm as a story about a alt-right government that is trying to take out minorities.
Why do I think that's happened and you're referencing something that I haven't seen?
No, no, I'm not. I'm just predicting the future.
Probably. So if that ever happens, we at the HateCast claim all rights to that idea, and if Hollywood wants to use that idea, they better pay us royalties.
Ain't gonna pay us shit.
It's too late. We can prove they stole our idea now.
I'll lose my toothpick.
So I don't think I really have anything else to say about this because, I mean, it's pretty sparse on information to begin with.
Yeah, it's I have a couple things. Because I've had to be reminded, not only was Morpheus a black character, you know, because I didn't really care, right? But I've been told all this time Morpheus is black and that's what really matters now by a bunch of people writing articles. And on top of that, I've also had the misfortune of being reminded that The Matrix Online was a thing, which is probably the more tragic of the two. I did. I didn't play it because I didn't like The Matrix, but I mean, I know someone who did, and he was very stupid, and it was very stupid. I mean, it was one of those games.
Let's be honest, most video game tie-ins for most movies and stuff are terrible. There's not a whole lot of them that are very good.
Yeah, there's like, you can go watch YouTube videos. I mean, it's not the worst, right? It's not the absolute worst, but it was one of those games where you really had to be a fan of The Matrix to want to play that. Like, I'm talking about you had to be one of those people that bought that PS2 Enter the Matrix video game or whatever the fuck it was called. Like, you had to be one of those people when you saw The Matrix back in the day, and there were a lot of people. You were like, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. I mean, I never did.
I could give someone the benefit of the doubt of going, oh, the idea of a video game in the Matrix sounds cool. But again, being a movie tie-in game, I would just assume, oh, it sounds cool, but it's probably going to be crap. It's going to be rushed. They're not going to have the budget they need. Like, it's not going to be a good game. That would be my assumption from the outset because of that.
Yeah. It's like whenever I have someone try to get me into Star Trek Online, and it was like, I don't like Star Trek, so I would never play it. Or Star Wars. It's like, I don't like Star Wars, so I would never play it.
Yeah, understandable.
It's just they like, Star Wars and Star Trek are already too normie for me. Because I kind of feel bad that like a lot of Star Trek is considered like geek culture. I know it came first and stuff like that. It just seemed not that interesting, and it was just like a bunch of humans wearing fucking knife ears and shit, and it just, I never got the lure. And Star Wars was just like people shooting lasers and just boring. Like,
Yeah, I've never been much of a Star Wars fan. Now, granted, some of the stuff in Star Wars I think is cool or interesting, but the series itself I don't care
yeah, I mean,
about. Star Trek I got into mainly because my dad watched it on TV at night, and we shared a room. So basically, it was on all the time, and I actually started enjoying some of the plot lines because Star Trek does deal with a whole lot of, depending on the series, of course, deal with a whole lot of like philosophical situations and stuff. So I
yeah,
liked it for that.
very dumbly it does, yeah, in some
I
cases.
didn't say it does a good job of it, but it does bring up some interesting
I
questions.
had to watch the was it the Next Generation with somebody, and the only episode I liked was like the Four Lights episode, because it was like, yeah, if so, it's at first I didn't understand. I'm like, of course there's four lights. It's like, why do you keep hitting me when I keep telling you the right answer?
Not the answer they wanted, Drugs.
But I'm not gonna give you anything but the right answer.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I'd be like, look, there's four fucking lights. What do you want from me?
They want you to conform. Like if you ask, what did you want from me? They'd probably tell you.
I mean, later on, I'm like, oh, I get it. Now they just want you to say whatever. It's like, but it's like, none of it, like, none of really, I just ended up having, like, a lot of, like, problems with Star Trek. I just realized it's, like, in the 70s stuff, or the 80s, whatever. But like the Prime Directive and a lot of other stuff just made me so annoyed. And any space universe where humans are the centerpiece of the galaxy, I just immediately distrust. I mean, 40K is the only.
I can understand that.
40K is the only one that gets a pass on that because humanity is so fucking diverse. Like you look at 40K and like every planet's different. Like on Star Trek, everyone's the same. Everyone's put in, it's literally like a communist utopia, right? Everyone is kind of washed of personality until you get far enough from the Federation to actually get one, right? Everyone's put in the same colors, the same uniform, taught the same things, given the same food. It's just too bland and too polished. That's why I like when I see 40K and they have like fucking candles, prayer vigil, and all over, and purity seals everywhere. You're like, oh shit, this is interesting.
Well, I mean, honestly, comparing most sci-fi universes to 40K, 40K is gonna win hands down.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I mean, you're setting the bar pretty damn high.
Well, I mean, I know why is what I'm saying. It's like because 40K actually goes through the effort to fill out those type of things and give that type of stuff personality. Like the actual ships in Star Trek, they don't look good. They don't have personality, right? I mean, they have
I think part of some of those decisions that bother you are also because it was very episodic. There wasn't a whole lot of like long running narrative in the show.
Yeah, it was very much old school where it's like you could really like if you want the actual progression of quote unquote, it's like a handful. Everything else is kind of, and
I think the only one that had much plot progression was Voyager because they were literally lost.
Oh, you mean that one where the woman is the captain and she blows out the engines and she's literally like a couple light jumps from her home system, the entire thing?
I just mean that at certain points you get some of the intrigue of like, oh shit, are they gonna make it home? They found out a thing. Like you didn't get that in a lot of them.
Like I remember Kaze introducing me.
I'm not trying to say it was a great series. I'm just saying it did that one thing a little better.
Yeah, Kaze introduced me to Voyager like this. He's like, it's the first woman captain. right? He's like, and they did like some jump, some warp, experimental warp jump or whatever, and it blew out the engines, and so she got lost. But she's actually only like a couple light jumps away from home, so the entire series is her spent like looking for her way home, even though she's like in the backyard.
You'd think they would have sent someone.
It's like, fuck. Yeah.
One of the cool things about that series, though, was the technology of the holographic AI doctor. He was a hologram that could actually pick up and interact with things. I thought that was really cool.
Maybe I should go back and watch the very original Star Trek, because if I watch it, it's not very like it's. I always found it strange how nerds like the original Star Trek, right? Because William Shatner is not a nerd. William Shatner's like this Chad Alpha running around like punching people in the fucking mouth and telling people to go fuck themselves, and he's bullying people that are actual nerds. I'm like, why the fucking people like it's like, this doesn't seem like a nerd oriented show. It's like he knows about as much about science as fucking Conan the Barbarian.
I'm just gonna guess it had a lot to do with the stuff like I pointed out with the holographic doctor. It's like all this futuristic tech that at the time with the effects looked pretty legitimate on the show. I mean, again, comparing it to its time with other sci-fi shows. So I could see that.
That's a perfect segue, though. A very awkward segue.
Yeah, like a segue from a guy who's fallen off a cliff and it's tumbling behind on fire.
End your stream real quick. Oh wait, no, you never. You don't have to do it. You just have to swap to mine.
Hell no, it's my stream. All in.
Yeah.
I damn well.
Yeah, Wizzy.
Yeah.
Much like China, I am the game master here. Don't fucking test me. Okay.
Yeah.
These are two articles that are updates, kind of, to what we were talking about. So, our last story was like the gaming regulation and how China is not inherently regulatory, right? And that, please save me from all the bad takes that China is inherently regulatory with its gaming industry. Well, it seems that China, the branch, let's see, what branch? Chinese authorities. It doesn't really say which one, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say probably all of them. The ones from the communist branch, like I was saying, right? When I say that, I mean like the ones that come in with the checkboards and they're like, we have literally boxes to check. If you don't, you go to the fucking gulags.
They don't even need to do that, Dross. Every company in China is required to have a party member on their board.
Yes and no. From what I heard,
when a new edict happens, it basically is ensured that it will be enforced.
Yes and no. From what I heard, that when the Chinese puts, because it's really big, like communism is very in you, just about it. But communism more, because it's communism. But when they put someone in, like a communist super agent into your company, they aren't always like, you know, Stalin's best friend. Sometimes they're just a lazy fuck, because they're communists. And sometimes you can be like, do I really need to do this? And he's like, whatever, you know. I don't feel like going to the branch today, whatever. If they come and see me about it, we'll work it out. But this is one of those times where you're like CEOs and stuff, and all the people get called in by the branches of the government to come meet with them. This isn't like one of those like softcore, yeah, maybe. This is one of those governments like, we have a checklist. This is what you're going to be doing. If you don't do this, we will shutter your company now.
Yeah, that's why if any American companies are paying attention. You need to get the fuck out of China.
Yeah.
Now it's not going to get better, especially when we went over that thing the other night where China, in their own state run news, is basically saying, hey, we're preparing for war with the United States.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they're always preparing. But, like, this specific regulation is targeting sissy men. Also,
Yeah,
obscene, obscene and violent content, and those breeding unhealthy tendencies, as money worship, effeminacy should be.
I guarantee you, anything at all that is not just money worship, as they call it, but is something on the level of, oh, if you work for it, you get to keep it. No, that's got to go. That gives you too much freedom and an idea that you get personal property.
But yeah, basically to add on to this is basically China zipping up its fly for Xi Jinping's re-election party, or maybe his goodbye from the Communist Party. They're trying to tighten everything up so when the elections come through, China looks super, super tight and clean and strong. You know how China do, right? China is like that. China is like one of those fucking Guidos you see, right? Back in the day, where they're wearing some fucking silk bullshit shirt, right? And just some like $30 shorts, a gold chain that they got from a flea market, and some dumbass sneakers, and they think they are just the bomb. That's China, right? They think as they have a fancy shirt on that it's all good. They're you know that they're rich, bro. And it's like and they got all that drip.
Got to shore up all the little things that make them look bad.
Yeah.
Tighten up the ropes on the ship, so to speak. Make it tighter than the ass of a virgin.
It reminds me of watching. I'll have to find the video of it someday. There was like some Middle Easterner who was really rich. He came over here, and one of the first things he did was buy like a shit ton of jewelry, like so much jewelry that it literally looked like he was wearing like 20 gold necklaces, and all of his fingers had rings.
Basically, he looked like Mr. T.
Yeah, like he had so much fucking jewelry on, right? And he's walking around in public, and then they ended up asking him, like a news team ended up asking him like what was going on with him, and he's like, oh yeah, in my country this is how we show wealth. We literally wear it on our bodies at all times. And that's what it reminds me of. It's just like that's China. It's like in their culture, it's just you have to literally be telling the world with what you're wearing how big of a badass you are, regardless of if you are or not.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
But apply that to the government, right? It's like we have to. It's paper tiger logic. We look strong, we look threatening, but we aren't strong. And then because China is inherently regulatory with their gaming market. Suddenly you have sell-offs. Probably not going to be a long-term thing, really, because
it depends on how much it might actually hurt their bottom line.
Well, I see, because I looked there was another article where it's like their losses are pretty deep right now, right? Because of regulatory sell-off. But I don't know if it's really going to be that big of a deal, honestly.
It depends on, and I'm not just talking about losses from stock. I mean like their actual operating income they're making, their gross income. If that goes down because of it, then yeah, their value is going to adjust.
Yeah, basically coming from the.
It's probably not going to be as low as it's hitting with the initial fear.
Oh,
That
and
being said, I would not trust the Chinese stock market.
I like that. You also have to ban illegal content such as pornography. And for Asian, like for Chinese people, that could be fucking anything. But for the Chinese government, that could be fucking anything.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to swipe all of Asians and flip there. Considering Japanese people make some of the best stuff I enjoy when it comes to where women looking slutty.
I see you are a man of culture as well.
Damn right.
Man of multiculture.
Yeah, that's where diversity really does have strengths, right?
Yeah, I can't argue that. But yeah, this just strikes me as the Communist Party of China doing what the Communist Party of China does and screwing things up just to make themselves look a little bit better.
Yeah.
Polish that turd until I can see my face in it. Hey,
Well,
hey, I didn't say carve my face in it. I said polish it.
Hey, if you polish it, you can sell it like a Chinese.
Yeah, but first you'd have to spray paint it.
Hey, guess what? All the fucking spray paints.
You know what? I feel like at this point this analogy is going to shit, so let's move on.
Shit. Okay, but yeah, I love this, like, the warnings aren't new. It's like, no shit. They've been saying this for now. It's just tightening up. Closer we get. Yeah.
Well, the thing is because when they do something, there's no guarantee they're ever going to undo it, even if they only wanted it temporary.
I like this. Gaming giants have said they will not be overly affected by continued restrictions on kids' playing time. Tencent said only a small amount of gaming revenue comes from younger players in China. I don't believe that.
You know what's going to happen, Dross?
What's that?
The cost of all of your microtransactions are going to double overnight.
Oh boy. Awesome. And something we mentioned. The Pentagon chief warns that Al Qaeda may seek a comeback in Afghanistan.
No fucking shit.
So now we're gonna have what? ISIS-K, right? Was it ISIS-K?
That's
Al Qaeda.
Right.
What was the other one? There was another one too.
ISIL.
I guess ISIL, and there was another one. There was another group. I'm forgetting.
Look, at this point, there's just too many.
Yeah, it's like you're bringing all of them back. Like, you've done absolutely nothing 20 years.
It's like the Get the Band Back Together tour.
The whole this is
But everyone loses.
This is his quote. The whole community is kind of watching to see what happens, whether or not Al Qaeda has the ability to regenerate in Afghanistan. Like, it's just like it's like some hero that was down for the count. Just needs we can't know if he's gonna regenerate perk or not. He said the nature of Al Qaeda and the Islamic State group is that they will always attempt to find space to grow and regenerate, almost like you shouldn't have left. Whether it's there, whether it's in Somalia, whether it's in any other ungoverned space, I think that's the nature of the organization.
You know, this has been one hell of a clusterfuck. At this point, I would respect the military decisions made by someone who played the USA faction against the GLA faction in Command and Conquer Generals more than I do Biden and our politicians and generals.
Only if we could fire them.
Because at least that person had the right goal in their mind of we need to win and we need to make it so these people never come back.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. This is basically a tasted black pill of like how bad Biden's gonna fuck it up. It's still fucking up, and it continues to be a fuck up. And it's such a fuck up that previous fuck ups will be unfucked and refucked back into existence.
Basically, like, regardless of what anyone thinks about whether or not we should have gone to war there or any of that, pulling out like this, the way it happened, was stupid as hell.
I just love the joke. No, what everyone knew Joe Biden's pullout game was weak. That's how we got Hunter. It's like, damn it.
Shit.
Ah, fuck it. World we live in is too good. It's such a clown world. Like, I feel like we got our breads and circuses fucking removed, and then now the world is just our circus.
We get this. Now we get this.
It's every day. Not every day, but it's, again, we're not even a year. This is month 9, right? 8 for Biden, because of January is when he started. So it's like, holy fuck.
Well, I mean, I think it was month 2 or 3. We were saying that same thing about decisions made. It's like, he's only been in there 3 months, and look how many things he's fucked up.
I think we've said that it's the only thing that stayed consistently said throughout his entire presidency.
Is how could you fuck this many things up in this short of a time?
Like,
you know, it reminds me of that picture I have where you've got, and it's a meme picture, but you've got a bulldozer that's basically driven on top of itself. Like it's folded the front half over and driven over itself. And the caption is only, if you're going to fuck up so bad no one could tell how in the hell you did it.
yeah. Well, that's the problem, is that Biden can't even fuck up that. He fucks that up. Because we all know how he fucking did it, right? It's just, it's so many in a row. It's like, and even then we know how he did that too. He's an old man. He's probably like, I need my fucking oatmeal. Leave me alone. I don't want to have to pull out of Afghanistan.
And you've got Kamala being like, just sign it.
And
Sign
fucking,
it, I told you.
Keep telling you, old man, sign the fucking document. No, Kamala, I just want to eat. I don't want Hunter to steal fucking crack money out of my purse again.
I feel like the town on SpongeBob when SpongeBob runs by and he's yelling, he's gonna kick my ass, and they look at the old guy instead of the actual one. They're just like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah. God forbid, man. Don't delay on signing that document, Joe. They might have to, like, you know, deny you another fucking trip to the bathroom or something. God, I mean, the fucking world, the leader of the free world is so weak that if you deny him a bowl of oatmeal, it causes a fucking world catastrophe.
You know, McCain was a bad candidate, and I remember them saying, oh, he's too old. I think Biden's too old.
I would have made an argument that old age is not what disqualifies McCain from being a president. Like, you know, that cancer of a fucking soul he has. Yeah, like, I'd be like, no, I'm not worried about his age. I'm worried that he has no fucking conscience and is always worried about getting into the next war.
Yeah, but my specific point, though, is Joe Biden's kind of too old for the job. It's pretty obvious he has some form of mental problem. And I can say this, I live in a retirement community. I'm used to it. And he's worse than a lot of the people out here who are older than he is. I feel like that's an important point.
Yeah, I mean, what has he done really to fuck himself up this bad? It's either genetics or all the drugs. Maybe when he went to China, he caught something really bad and it fucked him up. I mean, maybe it's chlamydia.
I mean, to be honest, to an extent, I feel bad for him because he clearly doesn't know exactly what he's doing, and he's been pushed into this position. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah, I mean
Like, I I could not see pushing a family member into any kind of position of leadership if they were not competent enough to do it. And yet his family was there claiming to support it. No, if they actually cared about him, they would have been like, no, no, he's not running. So I can only imagine his own family is, just as corrupt as what we've heard as far as, nonsense with drugs and laptops and all that stuff.
really makes you think, man. How do you let it go get this bad?
Well, you take 1 part complacency, 2 parts stupid, and 5 parts insatiable desire for power.
I wonder who.
Mix it all together with sugar, spice, and probably lice. You get the Democratic Party. Okay, I'm done. What do you wonder?
I just kind of wonder, like, is this mandate stuff like his own dumb idea, right? Or is it pushed on him from like Fauci and the others? I mean, probably know the answer, right? But I can't account for Joe Biden just being like coming out of a nap and being like, vaccine mandates. Like, what, Joe? We need vaccine mandates. Like, okay.
I would like to blame it on him, but let's be honest. He can't come out with coherent sentences beyond the teleprompter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just thought.
I think if they put like right-wing talking points on that prompter, he would just start saying them, which now makes me want to work as a teleprompter guy. Just once. I could be fired afterward, but I wanted to do podcast live.
Yeah, and you would see Jen Psaki run out there in her damn business skirt, fucking just carrying Joe Biden on her back, like, oh god, we gotta get him out.
He'd be like, no, it says I'm not done. It says I'm supposed to take questions from the crowd about my racist husband.
Yeah, I love whenever he had, like, I have to go find the clip. There was
like, it says I have to leave now.
Well, no. Not only that. Not only that, but there was a point where he was talking to the press right after the Afghanistan pullout, and he made a little speech, and then the press is asking him a question. He goes, "I'm not supposed to take questions, but go ahead." And the woman goes, she said, I can't remember her question. She speaks like 3 words in, and he goes, "No questions, thank you," and then turns around and walks out. It was like, wow.
See, if Trump did that, I'd assume he was just trolling to be a jerk. But Biden does it, and I assume he started, and someone just flashed up on the teleprompter like, "Don't you do it. Get off stage now."
I just love the statement.
Nap for you in the afternoon if you don't leave.
I love the statement. I'm not supposed to answer questions.
It's like, you're the president. You can do as you please.
Yeah, it's not even the first time he said it. He says it like all the time. So it's
that moment when you realize your president is just a puppet.
Yeah, it's like, wow, man, can you not think for yourself? Like, holy fuck.
He could at one point. I don't think he's capable of it at this point. He's not mentally there enough. And it's genuinely sad. I feel bad for the guy on one hand.
I fucking don't.
Well, I only feel
Oh.
bad in the fact that he's clearly being used by other people, is all. And he may not even be aware of it. But other than that, no, everything he's passing has pretty much been bad. Like, I cannot name a single good thing he has done since he's been in office. And that's pretty bad because I always assume there's at least one reasonable thing someone would do, but apparently not. So you want to keep going with your stuff, or you want to switch to my next article?
Yeah, we switch yours.
Alrighty.
Find out
So
the actual pop out window.
this one, I'm just gonna read the first two paragraphs, and we'll go from there. But you can read the title here. It's Critical Race Theory Bans Are Making Teaching Much Harder. So this year, American history might look different in Iowa classrooms. In early June, Governor Kim signed a bill that restricts what teachers can teach in K through 12 schools and at public universities, particularly
Oh
when
fuck.
sexism and racism. It bans 10 concepts the Republican legislators define as divisive, including the idea that one race or sex is superior to another. I want that to sink in. They're mad you can't teach that one race or sex is superior to another.
Uh,
The definition of racism is, believing that a race is superior to another or treating people differently on race. The definition of sexism is believing one sex is superior than the other or treating people differently based on sex.
but whiskey, you're not using the
They're literally mad that sexism and racism have been banned from schools.
whiskey. You're not accounting for the new age definition of these words. Okay, so what, like, racism is like oppression plus power or something like that, and sexism is the same thing.
Wrong button.
Yeah, at least I'm not the only one fucking up. Yeah, there you go.
It's trying to zoom in. No, see, here's the thing. The meaning, the original meaning is what is bad. If you change the meaning, then the word itself is no longer bad because that meaning is not bad. The problem is people assuming the word itself has the power when it's actually the meaning behind the word that does. But it gets better. They also don't like that they can't teach that members of a particular race are inherently inclined to oppress others.
Of course.
And they don't like that it also says that the U.S. and Iowa they can't teach that the U.S. and Iowa are fundamentally
racist or sexist. Really? Wow. What a based law. Oh, yeah. My god.
This says the law, which is already in effect, has sparked confusion and distress among educators, some of whom say it is so broad and the language so ambiguous, they fear they might face consequences for even broaching nuanced conversations about racism and sexism in the context of U.S.
Then
history.
Don't. Then fucking don't.
But hang on. There's something a little bit more insidious here. They say it's incredibly broad and ambiguous. Using the definitions I just gave you, that doesn't seem particularly broad or ambiguous. It actually seems like it's very specific and only covers literally be having and teaching racist or sexist beliefs.
What world do we fucking live in anymore, dude?
Yet they're afraid they might have consequences if they try to teach racism and sexism in school.
God forbid you don't poison children with your literal toxic ideology where you teach them that the person next to you is either worth more or less based on their skin color.
Yeah, they're basically teaching toxic femininity. That's what I'm calling this.
Toxic femininity.
Yes.
They're teaching.
Trying to teach people to be a bitch all the time.
It's called bitch-made politics, yeah.
But
because
yeah,
you're literally made into
really
a bitch.
for this article is those first 2 paragraphs. Everything else at that point is just fluff.
Well, like this, teachers need to know what the legislation means for us, and that they have been asking, and they have been asking, is this district going to support us and have our back? Well, I'm here to answer your questions, Monique.
Damn well better not.
Which sounds like you're probably black, right? But I'm not going to assume. What it means for you as a teacher, stop teaching racist and sexist bullshit. Is the district going to support you and have your back? No, because it's literally illegal for them to.
See, and this also goes back to our article from last week, where, parents found out, oh, you're teaching kids socialism and that everyone is racist. We don't like that. We want you fired. We want the board fired. Like, I don't think anyone in power realized they would end up with such pushback for the whole school system that they've kind of devised and set up to push their ideology.
Honestly, part of me feels like with those parents, though, I wouldn't have been surprised that we got pushback, right? I would have just been surprised this is the line they drew, because they went through like a lot of shit. They were like, well, yeah, you're like, you were telling my kids they could get on hormone blockers. You were telling my son that he should be a woman. You were telling my daughter she should be like a tomboy butch lesbian. You were like encouraging them to get gender reassignment surgery, but you taught them communism. Sir, I abhor communism. It's like, yeah, this is like, what this is the line apparently. You could just turn them into into trannies, but God forbid that they teach them communism. I mean, that's just a line too far, apparently. I mean, like, I would have been like, hey, you teaching my kids about hormone blockers? Or was it also sex in what was it, like 3rd grade or something like that? It was like a lot of really degenerate shit. It was like, no, this stops now. Not like when we get to communism.
I will point out, and we didn't see a lot of them because, like I said, I edited it for the ones that were kind of the most impactful. But some of the parents, and I like I said, I don't think we watched them, brought up that, they saw on the news and other stuff that teachers had been teaching these things and insisting on some of what you said, but they didn't really believe it until they actually saw the video evidence of it happening in their own district where their own kid goes. And that's when they basically went, oh, hell no.
See, I can't
do something.
I can't believe that either, because of 2 separate reasons. First of all, I guarantee you these people believe other things that the news tells them. So why
I think a lot of these people were just kind of politically disengaged?
I don't even think it's politically disengaged. I think it's just what's called bad parenting. Because if you send your kid to public school and you don't interact with them, you don't interface with them at all, you're being a bad parent. I mean, you're being a bad parent.
There's also the human proclivity to assume it couldn't happen to you or where you live. It's actually a psychological thing, and I'm assuming they just assumed it's like, nah, that couldn't happen here.
And psychologically retarded.
Oh no, I agree. It's a really bad thing to fall into. It's like, when you mention certain things going on, like with food shortages, and I had an argument with someone relating to food shortages, and they're like, "Oh, food shortages can't happen in the U.S." It's like, then why are all these articles coming out about all these stores that can't get enough food across the country?
Dude, when Corona first hit, right? I went to go to Sonic, and the Sonic down here basically told me I couldn't order a double bacon cheeseburger because they hit a meat shortage because of like all the plants shutting down and stuff suddenly. And so yeah, they had to limit not only the number of patties you could have on a burger, but the number of burgers you could order. So that definitely is not true.
Yeah. And then this part of the article says since at least 2014, when students went to the school board to demand an ethnic studies course. I take issue with that because it's probably a handful of students comparatively. Like let's be honest, it's
Yeah.
probably a handful of students who have been indoctrinated by their teachers
And their
to go
parents.
ask for that. Yeah.
Because you know there's like some single moms that are backing their kids up and shit like that. And it's like they're literally just feeding them their bullshit political beliefs.
And that and their teachers, just like the one that was caught red-handed by Veritas. So just this statement, and that they say it goes all the way back to 2014, I'm calling heavy bullshit on that. I do not believe that it, not in 2014, and even if it was back then, not in any kind of numbers that you should have taken seriously.
Yeah.
Like when 5 or 6 kids come to you out of thousands in a district.
I could argue actually that 2014 probably would be the year this started happening, because if you think about it, 2014.
Yeah, that was during Obama, wasn't it?
Well, not only is it during Obama, but it's during the twilight hours of Obama, right? And if you think back to how people were acting back then, all the lefties were basically gearing up to do what they're doing now, right? Like to get this.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point.
Because they were starting to cancel people little by little. They were starting to get everyone politically minded, right? Because Obama, we just had a black president. We need to have our next president be a really good guy, right? And it's just, yeah, that's when it really started. And then Trump started becoming more and more a reality, and people started fighting more and more. By 2015, you see people making a dramatic shift with their political stance.
So apparently, these states have all passed similar legislation. So Idaho, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, New Hampshire, Arizona, and South Carolina. Florida needs to get on that one, Gross.
Yeah, we have, honestly, like, for all the people give our governor credit, it's yeah, he needs to do a lot of shit better. Like I've been seeing some reports of like the school district trying to do this shit. So
And here they're complaining about see, according to a new report from the Brookings Institute, meanwhile, in states such as Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Kentucky, state boards of education and local boards have denounced, if not totally banned, teaching critical race theory and or the 1619 Project, a collection of essays that I'm going to change this word here from examines to fucking make shit up about the foundational contributions of enslaved black people to the US. Because no, that's not actually what it does. They literally made tons of shit up and twisted the truth in a lot of instances. And it's like, oh no, it's just a reframing. It's like, yeah, but your reframing is a bold-faced lie most of the time.
Yeah, it's like that video, right? That means we can teach that, that American history was completely different, and it's reframing.
Babylon Bee.
Not lying, it's reframing. Like,
and apparently one teacher has been fired in Tennessee because of teaching this stuff. So yeah, they should be. That kind of teaching of ideology needs to be totally uprooted from our education system. It needs to be taken out, and it needs to be burnt, just like you can burn garbage out where I live.
honestly, they should just abolish the public school system in its entirety. Just leave it to the private sector.
I like what we were talking about the other day as far as
the finishing schools.
Went. The problem is you have to make so many changes, you might as well
Just abolish it
and start from scratch.
Well, it's not. No, it's just abolish it, right? Honestly, I can imagine being a candidate, right, and being like, I'm gonna abolish the public school system because it's gonna save us unlimited amounts of money. Like, but where are our kids gonna go? They'll go in private, private schools. You're gonna have to pay for your child's education now.
Actually, my argument is it wouldn't save money.
Or homeschool.
Because if you're going to abolish it, you have to stop collecting property taxes for it. And they I'm pretty sure they collect more taxes than they actually spend on it.
Not really.
They get reappropriated.
I would be interested to see that balance sheet, because the government's never taken more money in than it's ever spent. No.
Fair point. I may be thinking about on a specific district, not nationwide in this case.
You turned on the effect, I think.
No, I just started clipping. Is it still going?
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, no, I got a little too loud, a little close to the mic, and it clipped.
Yeah, I just like the idea that it's like, oh my god, there's a law that makes it so we don't have to teach divisive politics in school, and we don't know how to handle it. It's like, stop teaching politics in school. Unless your class is literally politics.
And even then, you're not supposed to teach your politics. You're supposed to teach it as an overview of the subject.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty bad. But I'm glad that it's being outlawed. Very glad. Even if they're up in arms about it, good. This is what needs to happen. So although it pisses me off that this indoctrination has been going on, I'm glad to see steps being taken.
It's just sad that it had to get this far, man. It's just so...
I agree. And it wasn't this bad when I was in school, but it was starting to get there. Like, it was working up to it.
Yeah, like when I look back at some of the things my teachers tried to teach me and some of the things they made fun of me for when I was a kid, it was like, wow, yeah, they were definitely doing this stuff well before this. It's just now they were emboldened by it. That's why I said, just like break this public school system now. Give government grants to build private schools, but just to build them. There you go. I mean,
well, I also like the idea of a voucher program, because public school isn't a terrible idea, but basically it would be the lowest level of education for people who couldn't afford better. And I would probably be in that category when I was a kid. But I had interests and I pursued those outside of school and learned about them. That's why I repair computers for a living now. It's because I learned that outside of school and now it's my job.
Yeah, like we should also look to the other countries and see what works well, you know. I mean, it's probably better to like if you're gonna keep the system, it's probably better to just create an incentive-based system instead of just a money pit.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you also have the other problems of like if a teacher gets tenure, then you can't fire them, even if they're a terrible teacher. And no, the system is pretty broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like tenure is needed, but right now it's also abused. Right? It's one of those things. It's like it's fine to have tenure. I guess in an older world, in a more sane world, it's fine to have that. But now you have a bunch of like left-leaning goons there. All tenure means is just like for a socialist to get a free paycheck for spreading their ideology forever,
Pretty much.
no matter how extremist it gets.
So yeah, I mean, and these are just ideas off the top of our head at the moment. I'm sure if we actually sat down and started thinking it through, right, as though we were going to make a plan to shift the system, probably come up with something more concrete.
Yeah, well,
but the fact we can poke holes in it and say, yeah, even if we did away with it and went this way, it would still be better than it currently is pretty bad.
I'm not even saying that my ideas are like amazing because there are probably a lot of like mine is a very, very, very basic understanding. It's just like what I went through as a kid. So,
Well, no, I'm saying even your idea, even though it's not a very high bar, it's still an improvement, and that's really bad. That someone can just come up with something off the cuff, and you can almost be sure that no matter what they come up with is going to be better than the current system. Yeah, it's probably time to get rid of the current system. At least that's the way I look at it. And
uh,
that concludes all the articles I've
okay. Well, this to the quick. Okay, I've got one more, and we close show out on this. Because I was sent this by my British friend. He said this is a thing put out by the National Health Service in Britain.
got. Okay.
So, this should be. Yeah. Okay, I did it properly. Think. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, that's you. Damn it. It's fine. One day I'll learn to not boomer this up. Okay, so.
But it is not this day.
Yeah, it's not this day. Okay. So, dear white people in the UK. For white people, first step, read the short essay, White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, by Peggy McIntosh, I guess it's McIntosh, that visualizes a physical representation of privilege. Okay. We'll have to do that later. Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism, written by a white woman in the USA, captures a discussion that's often missing.
I would like to point out, sorry to interrupt, I want to point out, we've talked about that tonight already. It wasn't difficult.
What is whiteness? For white people who often don't see themselves in racial terms. Tips. Don't be defensive. This isn't personal, and it's not really about you. Everyone is at a disadvantage when our formal institutions perpetuate inequalities. This is such a asshole. Oh my god, it's not all about you. We're all.
Go ahead.
I just love the thought. Don't be defensive. This isn't about you. We're all oppressed. So you're saying we're all oppressed equally? No. You're a white person, so you have privilege. Yeah, what?
It's not about you. You're just oppressing everyone. It's like, well, it kind of sounds like you're making it about me.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, the fact you think it's about you just proves our statement. It's like, what? No.
Two, don't say I'm not political to excuse yourself from this conversation. Right now, ignorance isn't an excuse. You can't unsee what you have seen. As if you can tell me what I've seen.
At this point, I'm kind of political, but you're assuming that I view everything through the lens of race, like you do, and I don't, because that is what we call racism.
Here, Whiskey, this one's for you. You don't have to be vocal, but do listen. Listening means being open to hearing what black and minority ethnic people are saying. Be open to their lived experiences if they choose to talk about them. You would be hard pushed to find a black or Asian person that doesn't have a personal story of racism.
You know, I've listened to a lot of black and Asian people, and they think that what they just said there is kind of racist and bullshit. So I'm going to defer to them and just assume they're correct and say, yeah, this person is racist, sexist, and probably a lot of other ists that they're accusing other people of being.
Well, Whiskey, how about you? 4. Work on your empathy. Visualize yourself in the other person's shoes. Discrimination is dehumanization, and the only way to see a person as human is to empathize with them.
Well, you're assuming that there's zero empathy here, which is interesting, because if there's zero empathy, you have to assume that whatever group you're talking about in this sentence, and we all know who it is, but you're assuming that they've already dehumanized anyone who doesn't look like them, which, I don't know, to me sounds an awful lot like they're projecting here. Maybe we need to sit down with them with an intervention, because if this is how they see people other than themselves, they've got some serious problems.
Well, this is the thing, right? I've been called homophobic slurs, if that's what you want to call them. I would not call them. I would call them like fag, gay, whatever. I've been called that shit.
There goes our streak.
And I've been called that shit all my life, right? Because it's just the way of the internet, and also when I was a kid, we could be a lot more fucking. We could be a lot more liberal with our speech. And never once.
Go ahead.
And never once I was like, man, being called, gay is like, this crippling thing. It's like, whatever. I'm not gay, so it's like being called fat. I'm fucking like 120 pounds. It's like if someone called me fat. It's like when someone calls me a fat neckbeard. It's like, okay, that's the best you got? Because
look, I pride myself in being fat, because what it really means, Dros, is that I kicked anorexia's ass.
Yeah, but it's like when you get
I'm one of the survivors.
Like, even if I was these things, right? Because I've also been slurred as a white person because I lived in an all-black neighborhood once. It never made me sad or anything. I was just like, wow, those people are dicks.
Yeah. See, I truly miss the days, the early days of the internet, before Web 2.0 and everything was on a handful of platforms.
Yeah.
Because it was actually a lot more genuinely diverse, and you got people's raw opinions. It was like that picture with the person who shovels some shit over the wall and then just gets tons of shit flung right back. Nowadays, when someone flings shit, they're like, "Oh no! We need to make a law because these people are throwing shit back at me." It's like, get used to it. That's the world.
Yeah, but
like, the real world doesn't have a safe space for you. You need to get used to the fact some people just are going to be assholes and not like you. Not because of your skin, not because of your sex, not because of anything that really makes you you. They just don't like you on principle. Like, because you said or done something that they think is stupid or offensive.
I've not liked...
being the HateCast, we should be the experts in hatred And hatred should be on a deep, personal level, not this shallow hatred of people just because of their opinions. No, it needs to be more visceral than that.
Like, I've written people off offhandedly just for being in a space I wanted to be once, right? Not like in a really hateful way, but like in a way like, oh, fuck you, buddy, type thing, right? And it's like when you're like when someone's in the only spot where there's shielding from when it's raining, so you have to be out in the rain. It's like, fuck you, right? But like,
and you would do that no matter their color. You would stop and go, wait, what color is that person? Because I want to make sure I tailor my response. No.
Yeah, let me
being in the way where I wanted to be.
Hold on, I gotta bring out my my critical race theory. What was that? What's that shit? That weird knife that has like all the fucking attachments to it.
Are you talking about a Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, let me bring out my my critical race Swiss Army knife and see what attachment I need to evaluate this situation properly, because I don't want to misgender someone. I don't want to, like, if they're a person of color, I don't want to micro transgress them or some shit. It's like,
yeah, people don't look at it and immediately go, oh, let me consult my list of approved and disapproved insults and whether or not I can dislike this person for this thing they did, and pull out a sheet that's about as complex as the damn sheet for all the combinations to win at Mahjong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's this easy to follow graph, and you look at it, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, yeah, that's chart my gender now, bigot.
Yeah, no one's willing to do that, so the easy answer is, oh, that person has done something that has irritated me. They can go fuck themselves. But literally, that's the easy way to do it. It's the fair way to do it. If you're asking for anything else, you're bigoted.
Yeah, but 5, be uncomfortable. If you can read one book, watch one video, visit one place in this list, that is a step towards change. For everyone, there are some quick reads that summarize for a UK audience how a poor understanding of the history of race and what racism really is has created our current structurally racist systems.
Hang on.
It's a list of.
Let me help. For all the British out there that are having trouble with this, okay, I've got just really simple. For all the British, the English, whatever you are, really simple rule of thumb. If you're treating someone differently because of their skin color or their race, you're fucking being racist. And that you could be treating them better, it's still racist. You could be treating them worse, it's still racist. Stop being fucking racist.
Yeah, it basically goes over like a bunch of like literature you can read of where, you know, black people wrote how racist white people actually are, and how, you know, we're the most terrible thing, while also forgetting to tell things like they sold their own into slavery. And then, you know, convenient truths.
Skip that whole part where it was their own people selling them into slavery.
Yeah, like little.
It wasn't like people in America or Britain were going over there and like capturing people in cages. No, your own people sold you out.
Yeah, you know, they just sand down history into this this image that's more appeasing to their ego and their narrative they're trying to craft, rather than dealing with essential inconvenient truths like black people sold their own, you know, that they conquered and sold other tribes, that whites weren't the only ones to have slaves, that black people owned slaves, that, you know, it's kind of been a thing throughout history that white people were one of the first races to actually, I think we were the first race to be like, you know what, slavery is inherently wrong and we need to outlaw it.
And I'm going to get in real close here so I can blow everyone's mind. Get this. Black people were first taken slaves by black people.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who sold them. Like,
Yeah.
is the ignorance. Now, I'm not saying it was right for anyone to be enslaved, but, context. In fact, way back when, like medieval times, it was actually considered more moral to enslave someone because if you were at war, the only other option was to kill them. It's like you get a choice. You get to die, and we're going to take your land, or you get to be a slave, and at least you live and might have a few good days here.
Might have a few good days here and there, yeah. Well, that's not exactly the same type of slavery, but yeah.
Well, the point is, like, it was actually considered a more moral thing to do.
Yeah. Well,
just to like mass genocide another nation.
Well,
you took that nation as slaves a lot of the time.
Well, the thing I like to point out is when people think about, like, people love the imagery of like ships full of black people sailing over to the Americas, right? Here's the question though. Have you ever thought about how the blacks got on the ship? Like did you ever think about how whites got said blacks? Because generally what would happen is there would be, a bunch of black slave traders on the coast with facilities a lot similar to what you would have seen, back over in like Virginia with like the small little dock where they sell people. So it's not like white people went into the jungle, right? Like, break, because white people aren't going to do that shit. We don't live in the jungle well. Like, we put any white person from any time period in the jungle for 5 minutes and they will die. Right? Especially.
Get like the Vietnamese for that, not us.
Yeah, so we didn't go into the jungle to get the slaves. They were already on the coast waiting for us, right? Because that was often
not specifically for us.
Yeah. Well, because it was often a popular trading route to trade on the coast. Because usually throughout humankind, ports and stuff settle on the coast.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, if I remember correctly, the first case, and I don't know if this is 100% correct, it's what I remember reading a while back, is that the first case of slaves being brought to America were actually a gift from a tribe we were trying to make peaceful relations and trade with. And it turned out that if we were to turn them down, it would have been assumed that the slaves they were trying to sell would have been defective and they would have killed them immediately.
Yeah, I mean,
so it was an instance of, oh shit, do we accept this gift that we kind of are like not sure is a good thing, or do we insult these people we're trying to make peaceful relationship with and have these other people die because of it?
And then there's one white guy there who's planning on running a cornfield. He's like, take him, I got a place for him. Well, it's like, God damn it.
I recall in this, they actually got him back and they're like, we don't actually know what to do. Like, how? And the thing was, is they couldn't speak English, of course. So it's like, we don't know how to graft them into society. And it's like, well, I guess we'll just keep them as they are. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean,
if you want to blame anyone, blame that slave trader tribe that started it.
But even then, even if that's not how it started, it definitely didn't start the way that they want to revise history to start. It's like they want to make it seem that like white people like sailed straight to Africa. They're like, oh boy, we gonna get some black boys now, and then just like tied them to the fucking ship and then sailed away, and then
Yeah, that's not.
and then we systematically went back every single day to get more black people for more fields. And it's like, no. Do you think every white person had a fucking field? And they go.
They also claimed that England outlawed slavery before the U.S., which is sort of correct, but not really, because all England did was outlaw slavery within like England itself, not their colonies or territories.
It reminds me when my
England itself had basically no slaves. It was all its colonies and territories. So they were effectively going, yes, this is a popular thing to ban. So we'll make the political move of claiming we're going to do something about it while not actually doing anything about
it. Yeah, it reminds me when I had a friend who's black tell me that the land I am sitting on right now was probably some like racist plantation, and that like the state was as racist as anybody else, and it was like nothing but slaves.
It's a fucking swamp and you can't grow stuff.
And well, not only that, well, you can grow stuff here. It's not the problem. The problem was that Florida was owned by the Spanish for a large part of its history, like at least
that too.
So like no, you didn't have a lot of blacks down here because you had Spanish people that were doing, a lot of the farm work.
Yeah.
Like, and so like whenever colonists got over to Florida, their large part of like Florida was already pre-plantated. That's probably not the word you want to use. It was like pre-planted. The land was at least somewhat cared for, right, and cultivated, so that you could actually work it rather than just having to like fight back the swamp little by little, like Jamestown.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's like
if I recall, wasn't a large portion of Florida actually purchased? It wasn't conquered.
Yeah, it was purchased from the Spanish.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
If my history is still, current.
Well, I say that because I know during various wars, borders changed quite a few times.
Yeah, like we ended up.
But I'm pretty sure in the end we ended up just purchasing it at a steep discount because the Spanish were like, "Yeah, we're sick of this. We can't hold it. The English keep attacking. Do you want it?"
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's about how it went down. I'd have to actually go read about the purchase again.
Yeah, from what I was taught, and this could be right or wrong, because a lot of my American history was taught in Virginia, and all they really cared to teach you is Virginian history. And I remember that like it was owned mostly by the Spanish, and they basically conquered out all the Indians. And then the Spanish got tired of maintaining it as a territory and then just left and traded it to white people.
Moving on to the Indians for a minute. The U.S. didn't try to exterminate them. So the Spanish kind of did. They were like, no, this is ours now. Get the hell out.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Spanish did not fucking play. Yeah, like
that's where the U.S. oftentimes tried to make deals with them, or, and oftentimes the Indians wouldn't honor it because they were like, oh, this piece of paper can't do anything.
Well, that's kind of the thing.
The army would enforce it.
Well, that's also kind of the thing realistically with Africa too. Like, we get like the sins of all the European countries thrown upon us as Americans because
even though it was fucking England that basically spilled all that blood over there.
Well,
conquering peoples in Africa.
Well, that's long and complicated. You had like the British, the Swedes, the Germans, the French.
Well, let me rephrase it then. The English were just a lot better at it than the others were.
Like, Africa at one point was carved up from so many European nations that it was basically a small Europe itself. Like, Metal Gear Solid 5 actually went over it a little bit because one of the characters, the villain, is actually, he covers it at some point. He's basically said, like, I've watched the language of my nation change so many times that I can't even remember what the original tongue of the nation was.
Yeah, it's a big clusterfuck. A lot of people played different parts. It wasn't all bad, and it wasn't all good or rosy and great.
It
But
was
they take
war.
everything out of context just to be like, oh well, it's clearly all racist. Like, well, no, not really. In fact, a lot of that carving up back then what had nothing to do with racism and everything to do with securing more land and resources. And if someone else was there, they were just in the way, and it was war. It had nothing to do with their race.
Yeah,
Like if white people lived in Africa and the British came down there, they wouldn't be like, oh, well, I guess we're going home. No, they're like, oh, we're gonna conquer you anyway.
I just remember the story of South Africa, where it's like you had the white colonizers, right? They landed there and they tried to negotiate with the tribes for land, and they got to negotiate for a small bit of land, but then they wanted to, like, the tribes kept invading them. So basically, they ended up pushing back the tribes with superior arms to the point where South Africa was as big as it is now, and then they established the apartheid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
So probably a layman's
simplified version of it.
Yeah.
Like a super simplified version, but yeah, that's about the size of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fucking history expert, so I'm sure if I was
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I was gonna go over in depth, it'd probably be a little longer than like a paragraph.
Yeah, I mean, we can only fit so much education and learning in this fancy learnatorium that is the HateCast.
I'm also bad at pulling up it's like some information on the fly. It's also been a while since I looked into it too.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of this info is just off the top of our heads. So
yeah, I didn't exactly.
It could be inaccurate on some of it, but the overall gist is pretty solid.
I'm willing to say I'm inaccurate on everything. Double check for me.
Hell no, I'm not going to do that much reading on your behalf between this show and the next show.
I meant the viewer. But yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's the mainly I wanted to read the first part, right?
That list.
Yeah, and then this here, right? And this list.
Okay, shoot.
Call to action. 1. Become informed and do what you can to change the one story narrative so that the future generations don't remain in the dark.
Hey, conveniently, I think we just did that.
Why do I feel like these are like things that the alt-right should be doing? Right? It's like this is like they're unintentionally giving like the right points. It's like this is what you should be doing. I mean, people have been saying it for generations, so they'd be like, no, duh.
Is both these people as well as the alt-right are both racist. They're just racist in different directions. So of course this will completely apply. But yeah, I think we just did number one of, being at least somewhat informed and changing the one narrative story. As we said, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of complications in that thing. And I think we've helped our audience, successfully at least dip their feet into number one there. So why don't you move on with number two?
Well, I wanted to say this first. All I'm gonna ask is it racist if it's true? And that's my defense for the alt-right. That's my defense for the alt-right. Okay. Be conscious and have intentions in your actions. What will you do differently?
I will probably try and find sources for this and have them ready when I have to tell someone. That's what I'll do differently if I don't get lazy.
Understand the reasons behind the current disparities that exist in society.
Oh, that's actually
Because of communism.
Also long and complicated, but has less to do with race and more to do with class and behavior and culture.
Use your power and your privilege for the benefit of humanity. Everyone has some level of power or privilege at home, socially, or at work. So everyone has privilege now?
Wait a second. Hang on. Are
Wait.
they literally saying that minorities also have a level of privilege? Because I'm pretty sure their previous argument said they don't.
Yeah, like their argument seems to be like we're all oppressed, right? But we're all privileged. So we all need to like realize that we're oppressed and maintain our privilege.
So is that like I'm pretty sure they're just contradicting themselves and ruining their argument.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Operation.
When it's in parentheses, it's usually trying to clarify. And I think they're trying to get out of the person who says, well, I'm poor and I don't have any power. What do you want me to do? And let's be honest, what do you want someone who's basically, nearly destitute every month because they can barely afford stuff, don't have any power in society, and they happen to be white because they exist?
I didn't come here to be personally attacked, Whiskey.
Yeah, look, you're the proletariat. It's time you rise up against these oppressors that write articles like this, Dros. And see, they say break the foundations of structural racism. Well, the thing is, everything you've done is supporting structural racism because you want racism to be how people view everything. It's to where people like you and I don't. So yeah, we're already doing number 4, and we're using what power and reach we have with the internet to do that. Now, it just so happens it coincides with roasting and debunking their ass, but
I like this one though. This next one. Vote. Use that little bit of power that you do have, no matter what your political leaning. See the work of Operation Black Vote. I wonder if they voted for an actual fascist, like an SS type fascist. Would they actually stand by that statement?
Well, look, no, and they also wouldn't stand by it if it were Trump.
Yeah.
Like let's be honest. They say use what power you have to vote, no matter what you're leaning. It's like, okay, well, what if your leaning was towards voting for Trump? And they just be like pulling their hair out, like, you're the oppressor.
Yeah.
But I just did what you told me to.
Yeah, like I'm following. I literally followed all 4 steps. I got to 5. I followed it just like the other 4, and suddenly there's a problem.
Yeah, because they don't really mean 5. What they really mean is we want you to vote the way I vote.
Yeah, as see the work of Operation Black Vote, which only votes one way, I imagine.
I bet most of the people they vote for, though, are white guys that say they're down for the cause.
Yeah.
Like Biden.
Hey, most popular president ever.
But, Biden wasn't totally wrong. I didn't vote for him, and it turns out I'm not black.
Startling revelation there.
So, I'm curious to see what happened to a lot of people that didn't vote for him. Did they just inexplicably get that disease that Michael Jackson had?
Yeah. Oh, that would be funny. It's just like suddenly you start getting Uncle Ruckus revitiligo or whatever. It's like, oh god.
Ah, shit.
Finally, if you are a leader of people in any capacity and you are yet to be convinced about positive benefits of working with or engaging with diverse people, read Rebel Ideas by Matthew Sid. Whatever. Diversity isn't a fun thing to have, it's a must have. Okay, yeah. So, you got closing statements, Whiskey? I don't have a moment of clarity. Yeah, I don't have one this week. You're awfully silent. Oh no. The Whiskey DC. Uh-oh. That's probably gonna be it though. But if you enjoyed the show, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things to feed YouTube the happy, fun chemicals that get us going. I hear nothing from Whiskey.
I actually thought you died, so I kept going on my end. So
Okay.
we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I read the whole thing and came to the point where I said, diversity isn't a fun to have, it's a must to have. And they're saying, well, diversity of ideas is good. Diversity of thought is good. Diversity of abilities is good. Any other diversity is not important whatsoever.
Well, that's what the thing is like, I reject the argument that diversity is needed or fun or whatever, because what they mean by diversity is anti-white, regardless of how they try to contextualize
I'm taking it as it's literally written.
I'm taking it as their premise.
But their premise, no, you are correct.
Yeah.
Their premise is entirely broken and devoid of anything resembling a logical or reasonable idea.
Yeah, that's something that someone kind of like, I can't remember what stream someone said, but they actually said that it's probably like either Nick Ricada or Friday Night Tights or something, where someone was saying that what you need to start doing is rejecting the premise, because when you start engaging with the argument, you've already agreed that they're on some level right. Yeah. Or that they're
like what I did with you when I was making the claim that my hunter was also a healer, and you agreed to one of my premises in your answer, and I was like, I got you. It was a great day. It was a win for all of hunter kind and WoW.
Do you have any closing statements? Because that's
I just want to reiterate that their premise has no value to it. It is one of the dumbest premises that mankind has ever thought of. Everyone who has ever heard it is dumber for having heard it. I award them no points, and may God have mercy on their soul.
Jeez. Like, when my friends sent me this, I was just like, wow, I thank you. I needed something for the show. Because it's like, oh, that he sent me the China articles. So I had a little help this week. So Izumu helped me a good bit.
Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yep, I already said the like, comment, subscribe thing to make the YouTube happy, fun chemicals go.
And I have stopped recording.
Okay, I'll end here.